Hello, internets. Hello, fellow humans in a box. It's so delightful to see you each in our individual square cages today. I have a great assembly of brilliant minds and faces. Spencer GIlbert is here today with his microphone.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Dan Murrell, you're joining us as well,
I
repping
am here.
FSU.
Hello, always.
Happy Friday, and very special guest today, in addition to any cat that chooses to make an appearance, Cobra Commander is here with us today, you guys, live. We wanted to make the Friday show.
We're all safely self-isolating on Cobra Island. I'm a big fan of Does It Hold Up, so I'm very excited to be here.
Doesn't look like those your crew is practicing social distancing, Cobra Commander.
No, it's a perspective thing. The Baroness is 6 feet away from Destro.
At all times. Cobra Commander, what kind of healthcare are you providing for your crew?
Oh, a whole lot better than Disney is. No employers are non-essential in Cobra.
Come on, that was such a setup to just yell Cobra.
Oh, son of a bitch. Can we back
Cobra Commander, what kind of healthcare are you providing for your employees at this time?
There you go. Bravo.
There you go. There you go. Well, speaking of Disney, let's talk about the movie that basically pre-gamed the apocalypse with the release date changes. New Mutants, ladies and gentlemen. Justice for New Mutants. It's moved again. Oh, the New Mutants that we made along the way is what we'll remember. Dan, I'm going to have you help me walk through the various release date changes that this movie has already gone through. And the reason that we're talking about this today is not because it's already moved 27,000 times, but it was supposed to have been released today. Today was the day that we were going to find out for sure whether New Mutants was real. Dan, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. One, on a scale of 1 to 10 million, how real do you think this movie is today? And two, can you just walk us through the timeline?
Sure. Well, I remain convinced that this movie is a theory. It's in a lab somewhere. It was created in a lab somewhere. It remains an abstract concept. But yeah, I actually I'm going to try this weatherman style. So this, as you know, on charting, I was doing the countdown to New Mutants, and it is now today is its fourth scheduled release date, which it is not making for very different reasons than the first ones. But I'm going to see if I can do this weatherman style. So I'm going to throw up the countdown to New Mutants, as you can see here.
Nice.
Countdown to New Mutants. Now,
the other way.
as you can see there. Here we go. So 721 days away from the first release date. So almost 2 years, 406 days away from the second one, 245 days away. And then officially we're going to start counting up positive numbers from the last scheduled release date, because the clock hit 0 today on their latest release date. So now the clock is running on what release date number 5 is going to be for New Mutants. So obviously it's just like some movies just seem to be cursed for whatever reason, and New Mutants is one of them.
I mean, I think we can talk about which movies have been cursed over time. Clearly, this one is one of them. I think here's what I believe. I believe that there's a very, very important social, political, cultural message embedded in the film, and they don't want us to hear it. That's what I truly believe about New Mutant. I'd like to congratulate New Mutants about hitting 0 today. You hit 0.
Yeah.
You can only go up from here. Cobra Commander, do you think
there's no shame in constantly retreating, New Mutants? Someday you'll get a win.
Do you think that this movie has been damned?
Possibly. I agree with your theory that there are subliminal social messages within the film. Possibly because I have operatives inside what was formerly Fox Studio doing just that. I want to turn children and X-Men nerds against G.I. Joe.
We're going to go through a little bit. The New Mutants director did an interview with Vanity Fair, so we're going to pull out some quotes from that. while I read you those quotes, Spencer Gilbert, Dan Murrell, Muffin, Sir Pounce, Cobra Commander, we'd love for you guys all to tell us.
I'm a little low on the hierarchy, but that's okay. It's my first day on the show.
Say it again. It's Cobra Commander.
I was a little low on that hierarchy, but it's cool. I'm the new
guy. Copy that. Know your place. And we will. It's like after every cat, just so you know. And then it's Cobra Commander. So we will be coming back to all of you as you pitch us your version of what this movie is. Okay. So in a recent piece in Vanity Fair, Entertainment and interview with Entertainment Weekly, Brian, I love you so much, but what does that sentence mean?
Uh-oh.
Director Josh Boone talked about the process and the movie. This is definitely via Entertainment Weekly. He said, everybody said we did reshoots. We never done reshoots, and I'll tell you this. If there hadn't been a merger, I'm sure we would have done reshoots the same way every movie does pickups. We didn't even do that because by the time the merger was done and everything was settled, everybody's older.
That was a spot on Josh Boone.
You can't have everybody be older because it's New Mutants, not old mutants.
Agreed. These aren't just past puberty mutants.
Boone's a boomer. So we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about what the implications of this are and the merger and where New Mutants may or may not show up. We've speculated a number of times that it may just land on Hulu. But first, I'd like Spencer to kick us off with what this movie actually is.
Gosh, so it was supposed to come out in 2018? Is that correct, Dan?
2017, I believe.
April 2018 originally.
Released 2018 originally, or 2017, 2018. So it's probably, written 2 years before that, give or take. So I think this is going to be like very out of date and hilarious. I think it's probably going to be the New Mutants are trying to like stop Brexit from happening or cause Brexit. It'll be something like very of the zeitgeist 4 years ago. And I only say that also because I was just looking at the IMDb and there are 3 credited characters or actors with just the credit coal miner. So I'm imagining it takes place in Northern England. Maybe there's some type of mine protest or union protest about coal. And the New Mutants are like Pinkertons. They just bust them up and force them to go back to work. And then Brexit happens and they say, what have we done?
You know what I like about that, Spencer, is that you rolled into the idea that it had socio-political messaging embedded in the film. And
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I was trying to say, what was happening in 2016? Like, I don't know, that they could make a movie about. So there you go.
That was a real yes and to my premise, so I appreciate it. I also have an update from Ryan via him adding messages to me in our shared Google Doc. He is noting on the bullet point that I had a critique for, all red, all caps, I stand by it. Fair enough, Ryan. Fair enough.
Stick to your
show
gun.
behind the show.
Dan Murrell.
Yes. My theory for what New Mutants actually is. I believe that underground, next to the Large Hadron Collider, there is a hard drive. And on that hard drive is theoretically a movie entitled New Mutants. It's written on that drive. And this is all a social experiment. And basically, this has been a journey to see if circumstances will ever exist, much like them trying to find the Higgs boson particle. Will the circumstances ever exist in which New Mutants can be seen by a human being? And we got very close to that this time. But I think that if circumstances should arise in which that drive is allowed out into the open and New Mutants is seen by a human being, then the world ends.
But is the movie about the possible release of the movie? Because that's a mind effort right there.
It's like Schrodinger's cat. It both exists and does not exist. And I feel like if it's ever confirmed to exist in feature form, then that's the singularity that swallows the universe.
Wow.
Oh, we can't let this movie happen. Keep it at 0, people.
Exactly.
I think regardless of the actual quality of the film, which by the way we were very excited about here, a free ticket to see it was going to be the first prize of our volleyball intramurals on Cobra Island. I think that this movie has met epic proportions at this point. Even if it's bad, if they drop it on VOD, it'll run the world for like 2 weeks. Everyone wants to see the thing.
Well, let's talk about Cobra. Thank you. You actually made a valid point. So thank you for that, Cobra Commander.
Every now and then I win one. Mainly, I was just trying to guide the conversation because Dan mentioned the collider. I was worried he was going to reveal the location of my weather machine.
Well, it was an excellent fake out for us and redirect, but let's talk about that. Given the delays, we did talk about previously, obviously, Fox, Disney, 21st century oligarch, owns both Hulu, the majority share in Hulu, and Disney Plus. So there had been some discussion that it would go to Hulu because, of course, Disney was branding as so family friendly, and New Mutants potentially was a horror film that was pushing the boundaries of a comic book movie. As we know, it's actually a beckoning to a revolution. But so where does that go, Dan? Does the beckoning to a revolution belong on Disney Plus or Hulu?
Oh boy, probably Hulu, because I don't think the other X-Men movies are on Disney Plus, are they? Or are they? I don't know. I don't think they are.
Just the animated series as of now.
Just the animated series. Yeah, I would say Hulu because their whole brand with this movie, if they decide to go this route, has been that it's got a bit more of an edge. And so I just feel like it makes more sense to throw it on there, but I hope that that's not the case.
Could they plan an entire drop of the whole franchise centered around New Mutants being released on Hulu?
They could. I don't know what's stopping them, other than I don't know what the current streaming rights are.
Probably G.I. Joe.
Probably.
Yes.
It's definitely G.I. Joe. Cobra Commander, I'm gonna move us on. Unless you guys have more to say about New Mutants.
I'm rooting for New Mutants at this point. I
am too. It looks weird. It looks weird and interesting, and that just I will say everybody's going to. Cobra Commander made an excellent point. Like I do commend you on your insight into this industry because everyone is going to want to see it. I do. Yes. Put it on Disney Plus right now. Jesus, we're in a quarantine. What's it going to take? It's the end of the world. Release the mutants.
I don't think you want that to happen. I'm just saying.
Keep the beasts of Cobra La where they are.
Maybe it's one of those things that's like, you know, that crush you had in high school that you never actually got together with. It's always nice to like slowly, you know, for you it's G.I. Joe, Cobra. And it's always nice to like look back with those rose-colored glasses and imagine what it might have been. But in reality, it would have been boring and lame. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, and joining us today.
I wanted to hear more about Cobra's high school crush.
Oh, her name was Lisa. She had brown hair, and sometimes I wonder if she had said yes to go with me to prom, if I'd be married with a picket fence and a job in construction management instead of being a terrorist leader who buries his enemies in a volcano.
I like that you were still ambitious and you didn't just go for construction, that you went with construction management.
Are you Tommy Wiseau?
Lisa! Story of a builder.
Lisa! That was the part I noticed.
I must be construction commander.
You're not a man that does the work yourself. No. You make the orders.
Heck no. These little chicken arms can't win a war on their own.
Logistics.
Wait, you know what we didn't talk about yesterday that I totally forgot to talk about yesterday, Dan, was speaking of skinny little chicken arm and bird bones, is that I think maybe Jared Leto is on The Masked Singer. Okay, we'll return to that later.
Hey guys, one last thing is some people in the chat did note that the X-Men movies are on Disney Plus in the UK. So there is some precedent in that.
So a couple of things. I don't think you guys can hear Ryan. So when we're doing this, it's because Ryan is talking to us in our ear, and he said,
"I thought I just lost my mind."
People in the chat are noting that there is some X-Men. There are X-Men movies in the UK. Wait, why does the UK get X-Men?
I think there's some streaming thing. I think it's probably that's locked up here. Maybe FX has it or something until X time, and then it goes to to the other places.
It was
part of Brexit.
So when it's a big
great minds.
It's a big part of the Brexit deal, notably. But I think you're right, Dan. Like those licenses were super complicated. Do you remember like when Disney Plus first launched and like movies were just coming in and out willy-nilly, chaos, cats and dogs?
Yep.
I'm going to say this again. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, hitting that bell, liking this weird video that we are providing for you today through sheer force of will as we dredge up from the ashes of our devastated souls and put on a smile because we love you. And if you hit that like, it means that the YouTube algorithm gods will shine upon us and it will rain for a week. Is that not right, Cobra Commander? That's how that works.
Once I have the weather machine up and running, it will rain what I say.
Hey, also chat said they could definitely hear me. My bad.
Oh, chat can't hear Ryan. I'm glad you were being careful about what you were saying.
Ryan,
I have heard all those times Ryan was very racist on the show.
In this time of need, we're just trying to be there for you.
I think we all need to be there for Roth right now. It's okay, Roth.
Like the friends
can do this.
We're taking turns losing it. We definitely want to be there for you guys. We want to be there for each other. We want to use this platform to try and call out to organizations that are helping in this time of crisis globally. Direct Relief is the one that we've been talking about this week. You can go to the description and find out more about this great organization. It's really, really important what they do. They get vital supplies to the medical workers that are right on the front line working on the COVID-19 virus. They really, really, really need all the help that they can get. And they are there for us. Let's be there for them, whether it's just retweeting, sharing a link, anything that you can do for Direct Relief. Like I said, there's a link in the description. You can learn more about them. It really, really, really is important at this time. Cobra Commander, would you like to talk about why it's important to be charitable in this time of need?
Look, we're all in this together, you guys. When you live on an island with a bunch of people in masks, you start to see yourself and others, mainly because those masks are reflective. And so it's important to just recognize the humanity in your fellow man and come together in times of crisis. I personally tried to donate a fleet of HISS tanks to New York, but they were prevented from entering U.S. shores by G.I. Joe. But seriously, you guys, wash your hands and treat each other like people.
Well,
even if you're part snake.
Even if you're part snake.
I was once a man.
And I just like to say that we're coming full circle this week because in the best comment we've ever gotten from a gentleman who has not come back to respond, who has bins of serpents available to him at any given time.
Clearly the snakes took him.
We were critiqued for our treatment of snakes, and we have a snake on our show today, sir.
Oh, that commenter was different. Pentor. People say he's such a great leader, but all he does is jerk around and watch YouTube all the time.
Obi-Wan. The series is.
I really feel like I'm blowing it. You guys aren't gonna ask me back. Hey, speaking of the masked singer, when someone sings on Cobra Island, they're always a masked singer.
Oh my God.
What's your song, Cobra? If you had to be on the Masked Singer?
Bad Blood by Taylor Swift. Easy. Next question.
Obi-Wan, the series, is building a second Death Star. It's hiring a new writer. Joby Harold has been tapped to write the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series at Disney Plus. This is via Variety. I think I no longer trust Ryan. Harold takes over the writing from Hossein Amini, who left the project in January. You guys remember there was a lot of like hubbub and up and down with this project. His most recently, executive produced. I also don't trust myself, Ryan, so you're in good company. John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum, and he's also writing the script for Zack Snyder's film Army of the Dead. He was one of two writers alongside James Vanderbilt, who was selected to develop a new take on the Transformers franchise for Paramount. Like I said, there's been a lot of hubbub about what was going on with that series. McGregor downplayed that hubbub. Oh, good, an alert about my next meeting in 10 minutes, and said it was not really as dramatic as it might seem. He said, I think the scripts are great. at the Birds of Prey premiere in January. So that's a ringing endorsement. I think they're great. Next. Cobra Commander.
Oh, Ewan McGregor said that at the Birds of Prey premiere? People treated him very poorly at that premiere. Don't talk to him about Obi-Wan Kenobi at the Birds of Prey premiere. Talk to him about Black Mask, the character he played. Plebes.
He keeps making like valid insights. I gotta say, Cobra Commander seems to have a handle on this industry. Dan Murrell, are you looking at that Obi-Wan series?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's we've talked about this before. How it's like some people just like the industry decides that they're going to write everything. Because I was looking at his credits, the Joby Harold, which he's written 2 movies. He wrote and directed Awake, the Hayden Christensen movie about anesthesia. And then he was one of the
sounds like a real sleeper.
Hey.
And then he was one of the 3 screenwriters for King Arthur, the Legend of the Sword movie. And then now he's got he's
or
literally
like Legend of the Board, Cobra.
And then he's been a producer on a lot of movies like Edge of Tomorrow and John Wick 3, but not a writer. But now he's got 10 scripts in 10 projects in development, including this one and, like you said, Transformers. And what else does he say he's got in development? The Army of the Dead, Ronin, Twilight Zone. It's weird. Like he's not a very seasoned screenwriter, although a very experienced producer. And it seems like he's I don't know what's the calculus behind like the it guy, where it's like somebody who hasn't done a lot of writing, and then like they're like, we'll hire him for all of the things now. It's very weird to me how they pick and choose which folks now have all of the jobs.
He's not one of mine. I hired Chris Terrio to disrupt Los Angeles. I think there's an issue, Dan, where there's been such an old boys club, if you will. More just the idea, not the gender necessarily, although they're give and take. That there's a rush for new talent. So if someone makes something new that's very good and different and interesting, suddenly they skip multiple steps on the ladder and they're making Obi-Wan Kenobi or Captain Marvel 8, more Captain Marvel.
Well, I'll also just say it's an excellent point, Cobra. With writers, a lot of the time, like their best work is not produced. It's just scripts that they wrote that people read, and they say, "Oh, this is a great script you wrote about an old magic monk who lives in the desert in space. That would make him a perfect fit for Obi-Wan, even though you'll never see old man magic space monk get made."
This is true.
So he could just have something that he's written in the past that might not have gotten made that is like, oh, this guy could definitely do an Obi-Wan story.
You know what might be fun for us is to look at those incidents. Like I can think of a couple off the top of my head, like, well, this isn't quite that example, but Kingsman, that script, the Kingsman prequel was a completely different in original script. And then they decided to make it a Kingsman movie. A little different than that was Super 8 was 2 very different scripts that then got married together. It might be fun to kind of at a certain point, and Cobra Commander, I'm sure you have a number of examples.
I believe Universal Soldier was originally the sequel to Masters of the Universe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, he knows his stuff.
I gotta say, Cobra Commander.
I should see my wall of Blu-rays.
Yeah. Cobra Commander's pretty plugged into Hollywood. All right. I want to move us on to a couple of fan questions, and then, Cobra, you'll see us out of this thing. I know. There was a request from Forensic Hello on Twitter who watches us, and she's awesome, to do some like mini reviews. Now there's a couple of movies that I haven't seen yet, so I'm going to just put it out there for all of us to, if you've seen them or if you're going to see them next week, we will talk about some of these movies. She asked us about The Way Back, Just Mercy, and Bloodshot. And even the new Trolls movie when it comes out. So though we won't be able to talk about that today, just putting that on your radar that you guys should try and watch that, and we'll come back and try and do a little review. I know Joe, who's not here with us today, unfortunately, is a big fan of Emma. And I think Cobra Commander really enjoyed The Hunt as a start.
Big on Trolls too.
Big on Trolls, naturally. Aiden Rose Rosling just asked for a shout out. So Aiden Rose Rosling, hello. Shout out to you.
Shout outs.
Cobra, you have a special message for her, I believe.
Big ups to my fans.
And this one comes from Margot, who I think this one was actually, given his acumen today, is especially designed for Cobra Commander. So Margot was asking about advice, and we get this one a fair bit, so I'm sure we've all done it before, and we can each take a turn over the next week. But we'll start with Cobra Commander. Advice for people coming up in digital media right now. Cobra Commander?
Be original. Be consistent. Ask yourself, really, it's as boring as any other business. You have to answer what need you're fulfilling that nobody else does, or how you're fulfilling that need different or better. Then you have to just offer it consistently. And then, I don't know, pray, because the YouTube algorithm is more complicated than the org chart at Cobra.
You know what I'm noticing about Cobra Commander is that he's quite a manager. I feel like if he were to write the long-awaited Michael Scott book, Somehow I Manage, he would just really nail the tenets of
He wanted to go into construction management.
Well, yeah. He did. That was his
I thought you were it's starting to sound like his throat might be bleeding.
Uh-oh.
Think about how different our world would be if Lisa had said yes to the date. We would have an amazing construction manager out there in the world.
Open yourself up to love.
I think that's the final message. Is that right, Cobra Commander?
Absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah.
And knowing is half the battle.
Oh, he's stealing G.I. Joe's.
Yeah,
wow.
That's some real Joker stuff. Wow. That's some real Joker stuff.
Doing some Joker stuff, baby.
Dealing the catchphrases of your enemy. All right, Margot, we actually take your question. Cobra did give you pretty good advice. To be fair.
It is really good advice.
Boring advice. I'm sorry, it's not colorful, but I feel like it's practical.
It's practical. It's good advice. Margot, we do take your question really seriously, so we'll talk about it some more over the next week. Dan Murrell, say something inspirational, or what's on your mind? How you feeling? What's going on, man?
Oh, I'm feeling all right. It's Friday.
Maybe.
Question mark. It's Friday. It's just been a little bit of fun today, which is great.
Awesome.
I needed it today. So thank you, Cobra Commander, for joining our show today. This has been a good time.
You're very welcome. I'm only sorry that it happened at the expense of your fourth panelist who was killed by Disney for tweeting a New Mutant set visit photo yesterday.
Yeah, we're sad about Joe, but it's a time of loss. Yeah. And we've got Cobra Commander as a result.
Yay.
So there's always a bright side. I want to apologize to you guys that no cat has made an appearance today, but we did have an icon of villainy with us, so we had that going for us, and also Cobra Commander and Dan. So that's really, really great. We want to let you guys know we'll be back on Monday, but we're going to be doing some new formats as well in this time. We're going to be having some editorial pieces from writers. They're going to be get them takes in, get those POV pieces from a certain point of view. Huh?
That's from Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Are you excited? So we'll have a couple of those coming out next week as well in what would be normally an SJU slot, but that's okay because SJU will also be there. These are just really fun things to help you be entertained and us rest.
You let the mask slip there, Roth. let us have our rest, please.
We want to thank you guys for joining us today. I might go grab a cat just to go out on a cat because I feel like that's an important part of a Friday. Dan says no.
Yeah, no. I was just saying mine are very ensconced and dead asleep. So there's no cats from my end today.
No cats on your end. All right.
Mine's not sure what all this is about, so she's keeping a respectful distance.
That's fair enough. You guys vamp a little bit.
Wait, hang on.
And I'm going to go get a cat, and then Jonathan can just wrap us up. Hold on.
Great.
Oh, the animal handler passed off the animal to the late night talk show host.
Come here. He's not happy. He wants to go back to laying down. Come here, buddy. Come here.
Hello, cat.
Oh, there we go.
Oh. Well,
Joe, do you still have your Cobra? Does Joe still have his Jimmy Buffett, Luke Skywalker costume?
Yes, it's under the bed.
Okay, I'd like to speak with him next week.
Done and did, brother.
Okay, good. Oh, look at all those cats.